Hello everyone, welcome to the daily news analysis of Next IAS. This is Varun. Today we will discuss 5 important articles from 2 newspapers. First article is the Modi-Trump meeting, which has covered in Indian Express, also in editorial. Second article is regarding our explained section, that is article 356 President rule. Then we will also discuss about energy sector rule. Further we will discuss about immigration law, and then at last we will discuss about AI Action Summit. So let us jump to the first article, that is the Modi-Trump meeting. So what is the backdrop of this article? This article has been covered in the newspaper due to the Prime Minister Modi's US visit focused on immigration, trade tariffs and China. So our Prime Minister is going to visit US, and in the backdrop of this article has come in the Indian Express in editorial also and explained section also. What is the relevance of this topic? Relevance of this topic is in 2 papers of mains examination. First, IR paper, that is GS2. Second is GS3, economy and security relation. Because of various trade wars going on, that's why it is also important for our economic sector, and India-US has relations beyond economy, that is defense relations, security relations. That's why it is also important for internal security perspective. So now let us see what the article says. The article says that deal making with the Trump, that is the heading of this article. So now let us see some PYQs first to understand the importance of this article, then we will further move on about various things which has been covered in this article. So first PYQ is strengthening Indo-Pacific strategy, continuing collaboration under the Quad framework, India, US, Japan, Australia, to ensure a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific region. This question was asked in mains 2022 examination, because at that point of time Quad was itself in very much news. Then before that also in mains 2020 again this question has already come. Quadrilateral security dialogue, that is Quad, is transforming itself into a trade bloc from a military alliance in present time discussed. So from here we can see that India-US relation is a very important relation, and anything happening in this relation can be directly asked in our mains paper. Now let us see what we will cover in this our discussion. We will cover first what is the news, then we will look into the impact of this meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump on India specifically. Then what are various challenges arising in the Indo-US relation. Since past few years there has been some up and downwards relation going on, so we will also look about those things. Then what is the way forward? So first let us understand what is the news, in which the article has discussed various things. The author is a very prominent author, always write on various important international issues. So let us see what his views on this meeting. So Prime Minister Modi is visiting only in the 4th week. So this is happening first time any Indian Prime Minister is so early visiting to the United States. That's why this is a very important and significant happening in the geopolitics of India-US relation. Since inauguration of Trump administration, so far only Trump has met Israel and Japan PM. Till now, President Trump has met with only 2 prime ministers since inauguration, and now mostly he is engaging in domestic politics and domestic work. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to be the 3rd important person to whom he will meet. There is also paradox in diplomacy. The author is saying that there is a paradox in diplomacy between India and US. What this meeting represents both what continuity and discontinuity. So what is the meaning of continuity? Dealing with familiar leaders, as India has been able to manage the relationship in a very good manner in Trump 1.0. That's why we are saying that it is a continuity. That's why author is saying it is continuity. Then discontinuity. Donald Trump is also a very unpredictable type of leader. So he has some new approach and new policies, like recently various announcement has been done in respect of Gaza. So that's why it is also a discontinuity, because earlier Biden administration was very much predictable. There was a certainty that these things will happen, but with the Trump 2.0 these things are a challenge. Now let us understand various strategic urgency under which things are happening. The relationship is key to pragmatic negotiations. So as we have seen, India and the current Prime Minister, Indian diplomacy is also becoming very much pragmatic towards its relationship with the United States, also with other countries like Russia, China. So in that backdrop, it is very important for India to have a pragmatic negotiations with the United States. But it faces challenge from Trump's aggressive domestic and foreign policies. Domestic policies like immigration rules, like for example, Foreign Bribery Act was also announced. So these are very unpredictable things which put sometimes a challenge. And also various foreign policy shift, like earlier the US stance on Gaza crisis was a different thing, but right now it is unraveling in a different direction. Similarly, on Russia Ukraine war, there was a different thing earlier, but now, as President Trump is giving a lot of speeches, a lot of statements regarding that issue also, so it is clearly shifting the foreign policy stance of United States. In that backdrop, we have to understand. Beside it also, the author says Trump's second term is described as out of syllabus for Indian diplomacy due to his unique domestic and foreign policy approach. So even this statement is very important, that it is becoming out of syllabus, like our UPSC also many a times asks questions and students feel that it is out of syllabus. Let us understand some of the historical timeline which has occurred in this India-US relation and how it has evolved until now, what is happening. So in 1947, what happened? US recognized India as a democratic partner post independence. In 1954, what happened? They provided PL 480 program. India was a very poor country with huge hunger and food poverty. In that backdrop, there was PL 480 program which was helping India to access wheat and provide food security to its various citizens, people. Over the period of time, then Indo-China war happened, then first India-Pakistan war happened, in which US, in Indo-China war, US tried to provide some ammunitions and other things. It means it was a balanced support to India also. Then in 1971, Indo-Pak war and Bangladesh liberation war happened, in which US was not in the favor of India interfering in this war. So that was a I will say a very important historical event in which there was a little bit tension between India and US. Then in 1974, first nuclear test, that is Smiling Buddha, happened, and which mostly took the India-US relation towards southward direction. After that, in 1982, Indira Gandhi visited United States. Before that, in 1978 also, US President Jimmy Carter also visited India, and that helped India to start resetting the ties in the wake of various earlier incidences happened, like our role in Indo-Pak war and Bangladesh liberation, and then first nuclear test which we called as Smiling Buddha. Then Indira Gandhi tried to, Prime Minister, she was at that time Prime Minister, and she tried to reset the ties. Further, Rajiv Gandhi also visited, and he tried to make things mostly focus on economic arena. Then in 1991, India has LPG reforms under Prime Minister Narasimha Rao, and this opened our economy, and US, as it was at that time champion of globalization, liberalization and privatization, so it got an opportunity to have a very good relationship with India, but relation started gradually. Then in 1998, again India has done its nuclear test known as Pokhran 2, and then US imposed sanctions and relations were not that much favorable, as all we know about that. Then in 1990, Kargil war happened again, and in that US diplomatically supported India, not openly but diplomatically supported in India's stand on Kargil war. Then in 2000, a very significant important event happened in the Indo-US relation. US President Bill Clinton visited after 20 years of visit by any US president. In 1978, Jimmy Carter visited, and then in 2000, US President Bill Clinton visited. It helped India to reset its ties. He visited various cities, and then in 2008, the watershed moment came. US-India civil nuclear agreement was signed between two countries by the support of Indian administration and US administration, and it led to the reset of ties and set up the way for a very good strategic long-term partnership. Then in 2009, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh is the first state guest of United States. Then after 2014 election, when government in India changed, Modi-Obama era started. Then in 2019, again when Prime Minister Modi visited, there was Howdy Modi event in Houston, which became a very famous event, and Indian diaspora started gaining recognition, its contribution gaining recognition. Then in 2021, continuity in the Indo-Pacific strategy and Quad cooperation got strengthened under the Biden administration. Now in 2025, again Indian Prime Minister is set to visit US. So this is not first visit by Prime Minister Modi. Let us see what things will be outcome of this and what will be the impact of this meeting. So impact of meeting in India. The meeting represents the continued Indian diplomatic ties with Washington. So it is under the continuity of the relation which is being improved over the last 20 years specifically. Now it is also opportunity for negotiation in the various fields, as India and US has a very broader relation. So what happens when there is a broader relation? There may be some very positive aspects, there may be some negative aspects. For to manage the positive and negative over the period of time, always negotiations should go on. So negotiations is continuously happening between the two countries to balance the risks. Then what are the various areas in which various impact will happen, particularly regarding this meeting? So first is about trade. Addressing trade imbalances and tariff. India has about $45 billion of surplus from US. So the trade is favorable to India, and sometimes, especially Trump administration, see it as a negative thing. That's why it is important for India to look into this aspect and negotiate. Then defense arena. So US sees India as a very big market for defense purchases. Expanding India's purchase of US defense equipment and enhancing co-production agreement. So in recent years, like on Sea Guardian drones, India has shown a lot of interest. Besides it, India is also under the process of making various indigenous technologies like various fifth generation aircraft and different other defense technologies. For that, cooperation is also required, like transfer of technology. So in this context, defense relations can also take a very positive direction in context of agreement also, and in context of production also. Then energy sector. Now India is one of the largest crude oil importer, and US is also one of the largest exporter. So this energy sector can be strengthened, and the trade imbalance which is between two countries, that can also be managed. Beside it, technology, collaboration in various emerging technology. Emerging technology are like artificial intelligence, clean energy, semiconductor. Semiconductor is also one of the very important arena in which India and US both can collaborate and work together to have a very impactful role in the upcoming future. Then supply chain resilience, building frameworks to reduce dependency on China. So China is always an elephant in the room between India and US relation. So if our supply chain is resilient, what will happen? The situation which emerged during the COVID will not happen again. Now let us see some of the challenges which are in the Indo-US relation. From time to time it is happening, and recently also some of the challenges are emerging. So first is Trump's transactional approach to US diplomacy. The tendency of Trump is to negotiate and always extract something. He always feel give and take away approach. That may create issues, as India has focused on a pragmatic approach. India is focusing on pragmatic, whereas the Trump's administration approach is mostly transactional. Then there is also Trump's America First ideology, which is creating trade protectionism, trade war, and even America is imposing tariffs on various countries, like they have imposed on Mexico, Canada, due to trade deficit, immigration issues, and reduced international collaboration. So these dimensions create again a dent or a provide a negative side effect on the India-US relation. Let us move ahead. India's high import tariffs have been criticized by the US also. India always have the tendency to impose high tariffs, but over the period of time it has reduced a lot, but still it is quite high from the standards of other countries which they accuse India as a protectionist measure. Then there are a very significant incidents has happened over the past few weeks where mistreatment of deported Indian citizens has been reported. So that is also causing strain in the ties of India-US relation. Then balancing defense diplomacy with Russia and US. India has a very good defense relation with Russia because India over the period of time last 50-60 years imported a lot of Russian defense equipment, but US is trying to replace it. That's why there is also a challenge to balance both. Then impact on globalism. As US has withdrawn from Paris Climate Summit, reduced WHO funding and cuts to USAID. So recently it all has been announced by Trump administration that they will start withdrawing or they will stop funding in these arenas. Now, what will be the way forward for India-US relation, or what will be the way forward for this meeting? So first, strengthen Indo-Pacific strategy. How we can strengthen it? By continuing collaboration under the Quad framework. Quad framework provides collaboration between India, US, Australia and Japan to ensure a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific region. That should always be the common arena where India, US can work. Then India would like to ensure that the movement of Indians to the US through legal channels. So if there is migration, it should be through legal routes, not through illegal, because it always create a negative perception about the two countries. For study, work or tourism is not affected due to such type of illegal immigrations happening. Then greater collaboration on hydrocarbons. As already we have discussed that India is importer, so this collaboration can increase further and will help to balance trade deficit or trade distortion. Negotiated trade deal where both sides benefit from the lowering tariffs and market. In long term, the solution or the way forward is a free trade agreement between India and US because both are becoming a very significant partner for each other. Then the most important pillar is defense diplomacy and tech diplomacy. United States is also has important strength under two arenas where India is emerging also as a player. So both can collaborate in our defense diplomacy and tech diplomacy to focus on national security, economic growth and geopolitical alignment. Now we have a practice question for you. You can write the answer and submit your answer in our comment section. The ideological shift in US domestic and foreign policy under Trump has significant implications for India. Analyze the challenges and opportunities arising from the America First policy. So in introduction, we can mention about the various statements given by the US President for regarding America First policy, and then in body we can first write various challenges emerging due to this America First policy for world also, for India also, and then we can mention about the opportunities which India can get from this America First policy, like because India has a very good diaspora, so it presents a very good opportunity for India to have a good relation with America, and even America First policy will help India to get H-1B visas because India has very skillful migrants which are going to US and they are playing very good role into the American economy, American society. Then in conclusion, we can mention that the whatever our Prime Minister from time to time reiterates about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam spirit is the only way forward for the world, and it is also a pragmatic solution for India and US to follow the path. So that's all. Now we have also some articles in the newspaper which we have already covered in our previous episode, so you can watch those episodes and understand. Like Su-57, that is Sukhoi 57, already we have covered in our 10th February 2025 explained section. You can watch the video and understand its various features. Now we will discuss 4 articles of our prelims explained section. The first article is regarding President role, article 356. So the backdrop of this article has Manipur faces political uncertainty after CM N. Biren Singh resigned. So in Manipur crisis, what has happened? Ki the CM has resigned, and due to which there is a issue of constitutional machinery not functioning. In this backdrop, this article has came. So the article says Manipur crisis drags on as BJP weighs its option. Now, what is the relevance of this article for our examination purpose? It is in the context of issues of national importance and Indian polity paper. It can be asked in our prelims as well as our mains. So we will cover this article in a hybrid mode little bit. We will also cover some areas which is useful for our mains section also. So what is let us understand what is the news. N. Biren Singh has resigned as Manipur CM. We have covered this already on Feb 9, 2025, creating a political uncertainty because there is no Council of Ministers working right now in the state. He continues as the caretaker CM as no party including the ruling BSP or opposition state claim to form the government. The Manipur Assembly, also one issue important has happened that Manipur Assembly itself has not met since August 12, 2024. The 6-month deadline under Article 174(1) lapsed on February 12, 2025. Now what happened? Under Article 174(1), it is required that the session duration gap between two sessions should not be more than 6 months, but this has happened. Governor Ajay Kumar Bhalla did not summon the House before the deadline. Now this is the context of the news. Now let us understand about the President rule and various other things regarding it. Article 355 of the Constitution of India imposes a duty on the centre to ensure that the government of every state is carried on in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. Then Article 356, it says that it is imposed in case of failure of constitutional machinery. Like right now, the constitutional machinery is not working as there is no elected CM, rather a caretaker CM is doing the job of a CM. In the state, this is popularly known as President rule. It is also known as state emergency or constitutional emergency. These are various names of President rule. The word President rule is nowhere written in the Constitution. We have to always remember this. This question even can be asked in the UPSC prelims examination itself. Then there is another article 365 which is also related to the President rule. It says that consequences of failing to comply with or implement direction issued by the union. So if for example central government or union government issue a direction to the state legislature or state government and they are not following that direction, then again under Article 365 President rule or state emergency can be imposed. Now let us move ahead and discuss what is the various nuances of this Article 356. So parliamentary approval is required also, and what is the duration for this President rule? So it must be approved by both houses within 2 months. 2 months, always remember, it is a time limit under which this President rule should be approved. If Lok Sabha is dissolved, proclamation survives for 30 days from its first sitting. For example, Lok Sabha is dissolved and it is not under the session. So what will happen? Proclamation survive for 30 days from the first sitting after reconstitution with Rajya Sabha approval. But in that duration, Rajya Sabha should approve. It is valid for 6 months. So the duration for which this will exist after the approval is 6 months. Extendable up to 3 years with 6 months approval. So maximum duration for President rule is 3 years, and in between that duration, after each 6 months, there should be approval. Can be revoked by the President any time without parliamentary approval. It can be revoked by the President any time. There is no need to approval from Parliament. It can be revoked by President itself. Now let us understand what are the various consequences of President rule. This can be asked in our mains examination. So what is the powers of President? What happens to the power of President? We will see. Takes over state government function and power. Even this consequences can be asked in prelims by framing various statements that when President rule is imposed, what impact it will happen on powers of President, state administration, legislation and governance. These type of statements can come. So you have to understand the nuances and mark as per the question. State legislature power exercised by Parliament. Even state legislature power goes to Parliament, and state government function and power is taken over by President. State administration State Council of Ministers dismissed. You have to understand that they are dismissed, they are not there. The governor administers the state on behalf of the president. State assembly can be suspended or dissolved. You have also to keep in the mind that state assembly either dissolved or suspended. It does not mean that it is automatically dissolved. It may be dissolved or it may be suspended. You have to understand. Parliament passes state bills and budget. So parliament, not state legislature, is now the authority to pass various state bills and budget. What happens to legislation and governance? Parliament or the president can make state laws. Both can make. Parliament or president, whoever is assigned. Laws continue post president's rule until repealed by the state legislature. So those laws which are formulated or which are legislated during the course when president rule is there by parliament, they exist until and unless it is being repealed by the state legislature. Then high court power and status remain unaffected. There is no at all impact of president rule on high court or judiciary. Let us see, there are various historical instances in which president rule already has been imposed. From in this our table you can see number of time president rule was imposed since 1950. Till between 1950 to 1970, in this 20 years, 20 times. 1971 to 1990, the peak of the president rule imposition, 63 times. A lot of state was put under by various central governments under president rule. Then 1991 to 2010, only 27 times. It again reduced. Post SR Bomai case, it has further reduced. 2011 to 2016, only 5 times. From here we can see again, due to the interference of judiciary, it has been put to the rest. First imposed in Punjab. These are some factual things which can be asked in your prelims examination. First imposed in Punjab in 1951. Then it was used in 1977 by Janata Party. 1980 Congress in multiple states post election. Actually, in this time period, multiple states was pushed under the, and after mostly elections happened, and when there is a different party at union and state level, then this happened. In 1992, imposed on 3 BJP rule states, Madhya Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh and Rajasthan, for non-implementation of secular directives. In the wake of Babri Masjid demolition and other happenings which happened in those time, 3 BJP ruled state was put under president rule. The frequency, it is imposed over 125 times since 1950. Criticism, it is criticized for arbitrary and politically motivated usage. So that's what the various facts regarding president rule. Now there are some Supreme Court judgments also regarding this issue. State of Rajasthan versus Union of India in 1977. What happened in 1977? Supreme Court said that president's satisfaction under Article 356 is subjective. It is subjective and not open to judicial review at that time. But in SR Bomai case, what happened? It overturned Rajasthan case, but Supreme Court allowed also judicial review of president rule, which earlier was not allowed. So post SR Bomai, if there is any imposition of president rule and the judiciary feels it is arbitrarily done, it can review it. Then there is also one case, Bharat Bhai Bhagwanji Bhai versus State of Gujarat, 2002 case. Here what happened? Failure to meet the 6-month schedule is not sufficient ground for imposing president rule. So we have seen that Article 174(1), it says that there should be a gap, there should not be a gap more than 6 months between 2 assembly sessions. But this already happened in Gujarat and there was a case, but Supreme Court said that if failure to meet the 6 months is not sufficient ground for imposition of president rule, because nothing is written in the constitution. Only the thing is that assembly should meet at least one between 6 months. There should not be a gap more than. But what will happen? This is not written. There are various challenges to president rule, like potential for misuse, then undermining federalism, lack of clear criteria. Like potential for misuse, already we have seen various times it has been used, like 125 times since 1950. Undermining federalism, it means because parliament and president start working under the domain of state legislative assembly and state executive. So that's why it is a challenge. There is lack of clear criteria. There is a lot of subjectivity in imposition of president rule. That's why. Then there is suspension of democratic process. Why? Because through president rule, dismissal of elected government is happening. That's why it is against the democratic spirit. Tendency towards centralization, as union or center becomes overall authority to do whatever being done by state legislature or state executive. Impact on development also happen because the funds, the policies, each and everything is being made by the center and the parliament. So the development process gets hampered, local issues get sidelined, these things happen. Now what is the way forward? For way forward, we have various committees. Various committees have recommended a lot of things regarding this, some of which is highlighted here and we will look into. Like Pucci Commission has itself said, proposed to localize the emergency provision under Article 355 and 356. Then Sarkaria Commission also has said that President rule is to be used as a measure of last resort. When all available alternatives fail, then only go to and use the President rule to impose in the states. Beside it, there is also Interstate Council which has recommended that the proclamation need to be ratified only with a month instead of 2 months. We have already seen that there is a provision that Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha should ratify the proclamation within 2 months, but the Interstate Council said it should be 1 month. Then there is recommendation of NCRWC, that is National Commission to Review Working of Constitution. It said that Article 356 should not be deleted, but it must be used sparingly and only as a remedy of the last resort. Now let us see a practice question which you should practice, and this already has been come into the UPSC examination, from where you can understand the importance of this topic. If the President of India exercises his power as provided under Article 356 of the Constitution in respect of a particular state, then the Assembly of the state is automatically dissolved. Power of the legislature of that state shall be exercisable by or under the authority of the Parliament. Article 19 is suspended in that state. President can make laws relating to that state. So our humble request to all of you, please mark correct answer in our comment section. Now let us move to the next topic, that is energy sector role. So the backdrop of this article is that at the inauguration of India Energy Week, Honorable Prime Minister has remarked that the energy sector drives Indian as well as global growth. So this was the context under which this article has appeared in the newspaper. Its relevance is Indian economy. Particularly, this is also relevant for our mains examination, where you can show the role of energy sector. So the article headline is Energy sector has key role as India drives global growth, said by Honorable Prime Minister. Now various key energy segments which are important for India's growth and which are the drivers of India's energy security. First is oil and gas, second is solar and other renewables, then battery and storage system. It is becoming a new and emerging energy security or energy resource segment. Then there is electric mobility ecosystem. After that there is nuclear energy also. So let us see what is the contribution of each sector. So from here we can see that solar power has a contribution of around 21%, and thermal power, it is first at the number, it is 53%. Thermal power 53% contribution in India's energy sector. Then solar power is with 21%. After that we have our hydro, basically large hydro, not hydro, basically large hydro, it is around 10.13%. Then small hydro is only 1.141%. Then biopower is also 2.45%. Nuclear power is 1.76%. This data is from National Power Portal and it is updated daily. So this is the latest data on India's energy sector distribution. Total capacity is 463 gigawatt. Now even this question can be asked, what is the contribution of thermal sector, what is the contribution of solar power in percentage wise, or on the ranking first, second, third, which contributes more. So this can be asked like trend, or even in prelims and in mains you can use this data to enrich your content. Then India's energy ambitions are built on 5 pillars, which Prime Minister has said in the yesterday's India Energy Week. First is harnessing resources, second is encouraging innovation, third is country's economic strength and political stability, fourth is India's strategic geography that makes energy trade attractive and easier. Like India is at the hub where the concept one sun, one world, one grid. will take place due to the geographic location, like it passes Tropic of Cancer passes through India, and that's why India has abundant solar energy also. So beside it, India can connect various regions in the neighborhood also. So that's why it is a very strategic geography. Beside it, commitment to global sustainability through our Panchamrit, through our various commitment, nationally determined commitments, we have always been focused towards energy sustainability. Now, India's growth over last decade, how India's growth has taken place with the or vis-a-vis energy security. Solar energy capacity has increased by 32 times, about 100 gigawatt, and it is third largest solar power generating nation. Then India's total renewable energy installed capacity is 165.2 gigawatt. That is a very huge amount. Then budget 2024 said that power sector initiatives has been allocated 50% more funds in our union budget 2024, mostly to the areas like green hydrogen, solar power, green energy. Even this year's budget 2025 has focused on nuclear power mission. India is also targeting nuclear power mission, and the target is around 100 gigawatt. So we are diversifying our sources. India is third largest producer and consumer of electricity worldwide with an installed power capacity of 442 gigawatt. We have seen that this has increased to 462 gigawatt today. Then critical mineral mission has also been announced, and it aims to boost domestic output and recycling for various other segments like battery energy storage system depends heavily on critical mineral mission. So from this we can understand that growth in the energy sector opens up opportunity in manufacturing, innovation and infrastructure sector. Now let us see a practice question on this topic. With reference to solar power production in India, consider the following statement. India is the third largest in the world in the manufacture of silicon wafers used in photovoltaic cells. Solar power tariffs are determined by Solar Energy Corporation of India. Which of the statement given above are correct? So this is our humble request. Kindly mark your option and submit in our comment section. Now let us discuss our next topic, which is regarding to immigration law. The backdrop of this article is Immigration and Foreigners Bill 2025 is likely to be introduced by the Union Home Minister in the ongoing budget session. What is the relevance of this? The relevance of this topic is in Indian polity and constitution. This bill itself can be asked, or its provision can be asked in our prelims examination. So the article says, in proposed immigration law, tougher rules and specific rules has been assigned. Let us understand what the new bill says. So the proposed legislation will replace existing laws. What are the various existing laws which will be replaced? First, the Passport Entry into India Act 1920. Then second is Registration of Foreigners Act 1939 will be repealed. Then Foreigners Act 1946, and finally the Immigration Careers Liability Act 2000. So 3 to 4 Act will be repealed and a new Act which is as per the context of modern requirements will be brought up. It is to be enacted granting the central government powers to mandate passports or travel documents for individuals entering and exiting India and to regulate matters concerning foreigners. So this bill will provide various powers to central government basically to mandate passports or travel documents for individuals who are entering or exiting India and to regulate matters regarding foreigners. There is also provision of penalty of 5 lakh and 10 lakh. 5 lakh for unauthorized entry and 10 lakh for fake passport. So there is not only the act is very smartly using penal provisions also on various other unregulated or illegal activities which is going on under this section. Then key enhancement in the bill. What the bill has brought up new things. First, all migration control under one agency. So there is overlap of a lot of agency regarding immigration, migration. So it will brought everything under one agency. Then it places the onus of deportation on careers, shifting responsibility from the government. So the responsibility to deport illegal immigrants on careers from the government. Then there is also university, hospital and hotels must report foreign visitors. stringent fines and prison terms for illegal entry, overstaying, document fraud. There is also prison term. We have already seen there is the provision of fines, but here there is also prison term. Airlines and transporters must verify passengers' document or face fines. Then there is government has clearer power to restrict, deport or track foreigners. And then at last foreigners cannot change the names without approval. So these provisions has been brought up so that current context in which various illegal immigration issues of deportation is happening, these can be tackled in a very holistic way and in an organized manner. Then there is also a practice question. Consider the following statement regarding the proposed Immigration and Foreigners Bill 2025. The first statement is seeks to replace the Passport Act, Registration of Foreigners Act 1946 and Immigration Act 2000. Then bill aims to regulate matters relating to immigration, including the requirement of passport and visas, registration of foreigners and their movement within India. At last, the bill provides the state government with exclusive authority to issue orders for the removal of foreigners from Indian territory. So you have to mark your correct answer in our comment section. Now let us discuss our next topic, that is last topic, AI Action Summit. So India to host next AI Summit later this year. This has been announced. So what has happened? Why this news has come? And this news AI Action Summit we have already covered in our daily news analysis section or episode of 10th Feb. So you can watch the section and understand it in a more holistic way. Here we will only discuss about what has announced in the AI Action Summit yesterday. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke at a plenary session of the AI Action Summit in France. Under this context, this article has come. The article says that in which Prime Minister has said dawn of AI age need a global framework for trust, transparency. What is the relevance of this? The relevance of this article is government policies, science and technology in our prelims section. What are the various key takeaways from the PM Modi's speech? Need for collective approach to set standards for AI that benefit everyone, especially the global south. Then despite the fear of job losses due to AI, historical context shows that jobs are not lost, rather new kinds of jobs are created which need reskilling. So the Prime Minister in the context of emergence of technology said that we are not going to lose a job, but we need to adapt to the various new emerging system and reskill ourselves. Then the Prime Minister also spoke about need of a global governance framework to tackle AI, because AI does not have any boundary, does not have any border. So it needs holistic and convergence of various countries to come together and make a global framework for AI regulation. It should be based on shared values and address risks, build trust. That should be the core pillars on which AI regulation should be formulated. Then global governance should make sure that AI is accessible to all. The basic purpose of those frameworks should be that accessibility is not only for some haves but also for those who are not have. Focus should be given to global south, where capabilities are most lacking, be it compute, power, talent, data or financial resources. Then what are key takeaways from the Prime Minister's speech? There is need to pool resources and talent to develop open source AI system that enhance trust and transparency. The AI system should be open network. It should not be closed or should not be owned by anyone. But it also focus on enhancing trust and transparency due to various mistrust issues arising from the use of AI. Beside it, the Prime Minister has also said the importance of building high quality unbiased data set of AI model training, high energy consumption of AI data centers, and stress the need for green energy solution, international collaboration as a solution such as International Solar Alliance. India is also developing its own large language model in PPP mode. So these provisions are very important. This can be used as a way forward when you are writing something on AI. Let us have a practice question. Consider the following statement regarding the AI Action Summit held in Paris. The US and UK signed a declaration promoting inclusive and unsustainable AI. The European Union announced a Europe 200 billion investment in artificial intelligence to enhance its competitiveness. Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlighted India's development of its own large language model of AI. So which of the statement given are correct? This is our humble request. Kindly mark your correct answer in our comment section. Your PS will review.